we had another spirited Dillon Gabriel conversation. And something I did hear the morning show's take on that today, and I understand the central point they were making. I think we've all been a little too mid. That was the wrong word. We've all been a little too low-key on this quarterback room because we know that it's been bad. And I think it's stifled a lot of the conversations we should be having. And I think, I think a lot of people in media have just checked out on Dillon Gabriel, and I don't think it's made our product any better. I think we should be having spirited conversations about every one of these quarterbacks, no matter if we think they're going to be great or not, because I think the whole point is, I don't think you should ever dip the bar below is who's starting a starting caliber quarterback. And if you've got one, well, that's a different conversation, right? If you've got a proven starting quarterback, different conversation. But if you're just looking to stabilize the position, that to me is what that conversation earlier today was about, and our Dillon dust up yesterday as well.
I mean, I think that's kind of what Dillon has shown you to be in many ways, and that's I don't know. The part that just befuddled me was the idea that, and maybe we just brought too many metrics into the equation, or maybe we brought too many different ways of looking at it, because there are different ways that one tells one story, one tells another story, but there's some context that I think is needed within that discussion. But I don't like any part of the idea that now I feel like I'm on some sort of Dillon Gabriel defense, which I've never been a part of to begin with anyway, and I also don't really want to be a part of to begin with. Like, he's a backup quarterback. I want to see Shedeur Sanders play football. Ultimately, that's my end goal, but I don't know. I didn't think he was a problem in a 25-point win. That's my end point there.
So, with that being said, you have been on, when it comes to Shedeur, that there's going to be a time where the narrative starts to change on Shedeur.
And you'll see it. You'll see it piece by piece and week by week, and it's gonna like temperature rising in an oven. It's just gonna keep rising and rising and rising. And this is where I thought Mary Kay is speaking exactly to what we've kind of seen in the past couple weeks grow and grow and grow, and now it's hitting a boiling point.
And here was Mary Kay earlier today on this very station talking about Shedeur Sanders' development in elite accuracy.
I think his development has gone really, really well behind the scenes. That is what I'm hearing with the people that I've talked to. He's doing a really, really nice job. He's making progress in every way, including in all of those ways that they really needed him to, just in terms of being able to get the play articulated. He's really coming along. And the thing about Shedeur, I've written this so many times, I've said it so many times, but he has elite accuracy. And that's the place where I think he has Dillon beat, is in the accuracy piece. But you have to be able to get to that point where you have time to throw that ball and you're getting it out fast enough so that you can get it there on time and all those kinds of things. But in a 7-on-7 drill, if you put those two up next to each other and you just started doing a red zone 7-on-7, I think Shedeur would win that drill most of the time. But that doesn't mean that he would be the better choice at quarterback right at this moment.
I don't think it is a coincidence that Dillon has been as unremarkable as I think he has been, or as fine, or whatever the different synonyms we can use for this. I don't think it's a coincidence through 3 games he's been pretty unremarkable, and we're starting to hear some of the development that the Browns are telling the local reporters.
This has been my whole point the entire time, was that this was always going to happen this way, and we started to see it 2 weeks ago, and now we're seeing it last week, and now you're seeing it again today. The idea that once you start to see who Dillon Gabriel is, and they start to see who Dillon Gabriel is, they're going to try to take some credit for Shedeur Sanders. This is it. This is their saving grace, is the idea that they're going to try to make it seem as if Shedeur was not even close to ready previously, and now all of a sudden, voila, he's ready. And I'm telling you guys, nothing's changed with Shedeur Sanders. Nothing's changed with him relative to where he was before the season got underway. I'm sure Stefanski's doing some time and some work with him, but there's no drastic leap that's happened. He's always been better than Dillon. He remains better than Dillon, and now we're just counting out the time until the Browns actually put him out there.
So I thought it was interesting that coming off of Sunday's game, I mean, we had folks in the Shedeur Sanders hive. They had isolated one moment where Dillon Gabriel was coming off the field, and Kevin Stefanski smiled at him.
Yeah,
and they pointed and said, "This is why Shedeur is never going to get a chance."
Maybe just Stefanski was happy he was winning a game.
And I also, by a considerable margin against a team that I think
hadn't had that happen in a while.
I think Kevin knew he was that
he knew he needed
the Dolphins
that one.
were cooked.
He knew
he
needed that one.
But I think we're probably closer to Shedeur playing than even I thought. Meaning,
I still don't know that. I still don't know that. I hope you're right. They still have to pull the trigger there, and they seem so hesitant to do it.
Where do we get that? Because it's only been 3 weeks of Dillon.
From the impression I get is what I'm getting.
Okay,
it's not as if I'm not talking to Kevin and I'm like, oh, Kevin told me the impression I'm getting is that because if they take Dillon and he goes this week and then let's just say it doesn't work out and then they put Shedeur in there, and I think Shedeur is going to be good. I need to make that abundantly clear. But if Shedeur isn't good, then what are we doing? We're just going every 4 weeks. We just have a new quarterback. Meanwhile, you've gone through the 3rd round pick and the 5th round pick, and you have nothing to show for it.
Yeah, I think the difference would be you are going back to young players who can get better just by practicing and just throughout the duration of the season.
But that's, I think, what they'd argue for Dillon on Dillon's behalf there.
No, but I think my point is, if 4 games in, we know what we have of Dillon. Now we're going to go Shedeur because we're still competitive. I don't love this idea that there are certain people who've resigned themselves to, we're not going to see Shedeur until the Browns aren't being competitive, because then you're not giving Shedeur an authentic chance to do anything interesting. If he does something, it'll be in spite of the situation you put in.
I agree. That's what makes people like myself so mad about the horror deal. Is that if it goes down that way, where you're putting them in games where it doesn't even matter if they win, and in fact the front office would prefer that they lose for draft position, you're not setting him up in any sort of way to have success. Yes, that makes people like myself angry.
Well, but that's why, I do understand that Dillon getting the win yesterday, some people says, well, he just extended his leash. I think wrong. Winning is important. And if you get a win this next week against New England that you cannot pick apart, that I do think extends his leash a little bit longer. But if he plays the way he did the first 3 games and you're not seeing definitive improvement in the offense, right? If you're scoring 31 points, but that's because you got 7 from the defense, and the other 2 times you got the choicest of all potential field position. I don't think Kevin had I think he's got 3 games left from right now if he plays the way he did the first 3 games of the season. Now, if they go 2-1, that might change the situation, but just based off his play, I can't see extending this out more than 3 games after it if it looks closer to, or if it looks exactly like the first 3 games.
3 games seems fair to me. When we first were talking about it, you'd mentioned next week, though, after next week being the end, and that's where I was like, I just don't know that that's happening. But 3 weeks from now, you tell me if they go on you got to lose a game that you're supposed to win. That, I think, will be the one that Stefanski looks at and says, "Oh no, we have a real problem on our hands." You're not expected to win. You're not expected to win the Patriots game. You lose the Patriots game, and then you lose to the winless Jets. Then yes, I think that will be enough to sound the alarm, and everyone says, "Okay, let's just finally put Shedeur in." But I cannot stress enough the point that with more struggling that you see, or really from a 3-game sample size with Dillon that they're less than impressed by with, the more chatter you're going to hear about Shedeur Sanders all of a sudden overcoming all these made-up obstacles that they put in his way. And I just think it's such a farce, and it just feels so wrong that they're able to do this and get away with it on a fundamental level. It just feels like someone.
Every NFL team does this.
I know, but it feels like dragging Shedeur through the idea that for his reputation and his name, for months on end, people thought he can't play the position. And they told enough people behind the scenes, and you know this firsthand, Nick, they told enough people behind the scenes that he was so far behind, laughably far behind, and all these other things, just so they could make themselves look good in the end of it. And that's all they're trying to do. Oh, we fixed Shedeur. We got him to a spot where we could play him, and thank goodness we did just in the nick of time. And I just think it's wrong. I think it's wrong to besmirch his name that way, and I think it's wrong to go ahead and drag his name through the mud that way when he didn't deserve that.
Wait a minute. They're trying to rewrite the story as if the Browns have been developing Shedeur all along. That's simply not true. He didn't receive any first-team reps throughout training camp. Now that he's performing well, the narrative suddenly shifts to credit the organization. Even Mary Kay Cabot, who once said he wasn't ready, is now praising his elite accuracy and ball placement. That's quite a turnaround. And I've got to give a shout out to Jonathan Peterlin from 92.3 The Fan Cleveland. He's been one of the few consistent voices standing up for Shedeur, calling for fairness, accountability, and simply wanting to see the young man win. That kind of integrity in sports media really matters. Now listen to what Tony Rizzo says next. This part matters.
All right, Chops, what was Shedeur tweeting yesterday? Because I'm all nervous.
Why are you nervous?
I don't know. He kept talking about faith, which I love when he does that, but it sounds like he's like a little bummed out or something. What's going on?
So I don't think so. So I kind of checked in on this afterwards because, he put out a long tweet.
Can you read the tweet, please?
Yeah, I can read it. It's a long tweet.
I want to know what it says.
All right, this is from Shedeur Sanders. The greatest lesson I've learned through it all is not to worry, but to lean on and trust God in every situation. Even when I don't know what to do, I've learned that God will always guide me. I live stress-free because I know that no matter what, God has the final say over my life. I'm able to persevere through the trials because I come from a family built on morals, values, and unshakable principles. Growing up, I had access to a lot, and maybe without my understanding shaped my world view, but I've realized that peace, purpose, and faith can't be bought. They have to be built. True success is who you become while waiting on God's timing. God's pace protects what your purpose will one day require.
Okay.
So I checked because I was just like, what's going on?
Okay.
And he's good. He's focused. Riz, I've heard that he has really kicked up his intensity. He's ready to go. He is ready to start for the Browns. That's what I've garnered from all of this.
I think Shedeur, like me, is getting a little antsy. I'm starting to... this is so hard because people view me as a hater of Dillon Gabriel, and I'm not.
Yeah.
I really am not. That kid's a tough, good look.
Yeah.
The Browns right now don't have a passing game. Is Dillon Gabriel to blame for that? Yes, in part, yes. Yeah. Is he totally to blame? No. The Browns are said to be looking for wide receivers. Is that what we heard last night?
There's a lot of wide receiver chatter out there with the Browns and AB sniffing around. Garrett Wilson name is popping up right now, Chris.
Okay.
You like that, Riz?
Oh, God, I would.
They could use Garrett Wilson.
Drive to
that
New York
seems
to
like
get
such an Andrew Berry move because Garrett Wilson seems to be on the outs in New York because they have a new regime, and there's video of him fighting with Aaron Glenn, who the owner backed yesterday, actually.
We'll take him. We'll take him.
We'll take him.
Yes, heartbeat. And you need a number one receiver.
Yes.
Because of the wide receivers, because of the tackle situation here, which cannot be ignored.
Yeah.
Please stop. That is a real thing.
Yeah.
You have 3/5 of your offensive line playing right now. Because of those two things, it's really hard for me to judge any of these kids in a passing game. I also don't like the routes Kevin's calling. I don't know. I watched some high 22, the all 22. I don't see a ton of open guys. There's some. I mean, he's missed some open guys. That happens with everybody.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, and what's going down today on Survey Wednesday, when do you think Shedeur should start? When do you think he should start? Now, I want to see. Here's what I'm going to reserve. I'm going to reserve my right to answer this for a moment, just for a minute. My own question, which is ridiculous. But it's what we do on the Tony Rizzo Show. Chris, can I see Gabriel Sunday? And if I see more of what I've seen, which is game manager hasn't made a mistake, he's come very close, hasn't made a mistake, but not a difference maker and not a good passing game in the NFL. If I see that again, Chris, I would take the bye and I would use the 2 weeks to get Shedeur ready to start against the Jets. I would. I'm ready to do that. I'm ready.
Don't we think that Gabriel's performance Sunday is probably going to determine who's starting after the bye, I would think, because everything we've heard about how they want to start Shedeur is they want to give him a full week.
Well, the
Riz,
bye week would be. Yep.
So if Gabriel struggles, say they even win, but he struggles, Chris, what better time?
Well, here's the thing.
If
they win, you're not going to bench him after winning two games
what
in a row.
What if he throws 3 picks?
But listen, hold on. I understand what both of you are saying. I think it makes sense in terms of giving Shedeur enough time to prepare. However, they're not going to give Shedeur 9 games and Dillon Gabriel 4. They're just not going to.
Well,
they're just not.
I agree with that, but what if Sanders, because I think, what if Sanders plays well? What if he looks better than Gabriel? Chris, you weren't here yesterday. I'm not apologizing for this. I'm digging in. I thought before the draft and I thought after the draft, Gabriel was not as good a quarterback as Shedeur. Not even close, in my opinion. Now, the Browns obviously thought differently, and they have their agenda. But what I kept telling you guys, did someone tell us Dillon Gabriel looked good in training camp? It's games. How does he look? He looks
not
bad.
great.
He looks overwhelmed.
I think Shedeur is also like that message is also like, okay, I fell to the 5th round. That happened. But I've also now had all these people for months say that this kid's better than me. And at some point, you have some pride in what you do to say,
right.
I know how good, I know that I'm better than this.
And I know I had him rated like Mel Kiper, best quarterback
Chris,
in the draft.
Hold on,
you
listen.
don't think he could do what Cam
Yes,
Ward's doing?
listen.
You don't think he could do what Cam Ward's doing?
Riz,
Come on.
Riz, I agree with both of you, and I've said this since day one. I think Shedeur is better than Dillon Gabriel. What we can't have lost on us, and I don't have the answer to this question, is Dillon Gabriel operating the offense like he's being asked to? If the answer to that question
Yes.
is okay, then Riz, then why would they bench him?
Why wouldn't he be operating?
I don't think he did on Sunday, and I know it was a monsoon, but he missed so much ezy stuff on Sunday.
Hey, bro, that's a rookie quarterback. I'm actually
But
going to
Riz,
give the kid a break.
but Chubbs, that's my point.
All I'm saying is you stop with where he was drafted. Stop with who's famous. Stop with who's the sympathetic little figure. Stop. Who plays better on the field? I guarantee it's my dude. End of story. And if it's not, we'll draft another quarterback next year.
If they're really setting him up for success, Chris, what other time would be better?
Well, the only thing that matters, guys, is how you play on Sundays. That's it. Doesn't matter where you were drafted, what you're getting paid, what you get. There are the quarterbacks, the Brock Purdy, stop. Russell Wilson won the job, stop. It just matters who plays better, not what some media guy thinks or where you were drafted or what the analytics people think.
Riz, again, I understand everything you're saying. Dillon Gabriel's record as a starter is 1-2. In one of the games that they lost to the Vikings, when he was done being on the field, they had the lead. Like, other than the 20
he was also
seconds,
on the field, and we can blame Kevin, but they also had a chance to win that offensively. Kevin called.
All I'm saying is I don't think the Browns look at Gabriel's performance saying, oh, my God, we have to bench him. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, I'm okay. I would be disappointed, but it wouldn't be the end of the world if Shedeur doesn't start the Jets game. That's all. I really would love to see that,
Chris.
What else if we go to 2-6? What the hell else do I have to watch?
Wait, but you're saying if they lose, you would do it, but if they win, but if Gabriel had nothing to do with the win, you
am
wouldn't.
ready to see Shedeur Sanders. I just don't think the Browns are.
Okay, but I'm at least going to give Dillon Gabriel this. I'm going to give him the chance Sunday to put this all together finally after 3 weeks.
Yes.
A normal week.
A normal week.
Yeah.
Play a nice game. And win or lose, look like the quarterback the Browns thought he was going to be when they drafted him. I'll give him that. But I'm just saying, I cannot believe that my guy is going to play worse than that. I would be shocked. I would. God, I hate the way this is.
Chris, they only
painted.
Joe Flacco's a Super Bowl winning quarterback who we've seen then be good. They only gave him 4 games.
But again, it's the turnovers. Forget the turnover-worthy plays.
So you think that's
How many turnovers should the kid have?
Riz, I understand.
Turnover-worthy plays is a thing.
But that goes back to my point.
Harm's way is the thing. Did he put him in harm's way?
He did.
I'm not asking you to defend Dillon. I'll defend him. 3 games I don't think is enough. But for me, do you think he's just suddenly going to get it one series and click and look like
who gives
Vinny
you the best chance to win? Who gives you the best?
Well, I don't know because they wouldn't play
That's an impossible question to answer.
They wouldn't play the kid even in the preseason.
But they should know the answer to that. And
don't you think their actions are telling you?
Yes, right now they think it's Dillon Gabriel, but it's not going to play out that way on the field. That's what I've been sitting on this for months. I've had to eat a green one with Grossi many, many times. And not blow up at him and say, you've not seen my guy play in a game. But I've seen your guy play in a game 3 times. What I've seen is what I expected. Exactly. It's exactly what I expected.
And even Tony's coming off. He came off of it a little bit yesterday on the Dillon stuff.
It's not me versus Tony.
No, I don't think it is.
It's just I've just sat here and just waited.
Yep.
But if that kid comes out and plays like Baker did, which is what I expect, then I expect some respect in return. I do. It's not even about me. I just want the Browns to be good. And you're going to need 2 tackles next year. Chris, you better hope you don't take a quarterback next year. It's almost like these people don't care about the ideal scenario is, okay, I'll get one of these guys. Looks like the real deal. And we don't have to draft a quarterback in the first round. You can take one in the 4th round. Take a flyer on somebody. You need a tackle and you need a wide receiver. And you got 2 number 1 picks. You find a guy that can get people the football and look like a real NFL passing attack, that's how you get to be good. Not running rookie quarterback. Chris, what are you going to do? You going to draft a quarterback and then we're going to sit here next year and go, when do we play? Shedeur Sanders, when do we play?
Well, and also
how many games does Shedeur get? I don't want to do that shit. Come on.
And Riz, it wouldn't be like Chris, you talked about the split of games, like Gabriel got this many Shedeur. Riz, playing Shedeur the last 4 games of the season in December in Brown State, that's not fair.
I could still
could
get
be
a
a
look
blizzard every game, though.
I could still get a look at him, though. No, it won't be a blizzard. At the Bears is bad. Oh, the Bills at home and the Steelers at home and the Bengals. Yeah, the weather might
It could be a blizzard every game, Riz.
I just wonder, because this isn't even a question for Kevin. The question is for Andrew Berry.
Who speaks at the bye week.
When do you expect Shedeur Sanders to play? At what point do you guys want to get a look at Shedeur?
Is that because
I would guess, my guess is Andrew would say, that time's coming, Tony. That time's coming, Tony, but we're not there yet. That's the answer I would expect.
Do you think?
I think the Browns will admit, and I think Andrew will say during his press conference, I think he will say, yeah, we want to get a look at Shedeur. We do. Yeah.
Do you think you want to hear more from Andrew on that because you think ultimately he's the one that's going to tell Kevin who's playing quarterback?
Or Jimmy.
Well, yeah.
Chris, Jimmy's kids had Shedeur jerseys on, the grandchildren, at the game Sunday. They were wearing the 12. I got to get one.
I have to give Tony Rizzo real credit for how he's handled this whole situation. In a media landscape that can be quick to criticize and slow to show compassion, Tony's empathy for Shedeur Sanders stands out. He's not just talking football. He's acknowledging the human side of this journey. Shedeur's been under a microscope since the moment he arrived, yet Rizzo sees beyond the headlines. He recognizes the pressure, the patience, and the preparation it takes to walk this kind of path. That kind of support from a seasoned voice in Cleveland means a lot, not just for Shedeur's confidence, but for the fans who see the bigger picture. Because this isn't just about depth charts or reps. It's about a young man walking through the fire with grace and a broadcaster choosing empathy over ego. And in a world where narratives change overnight, it's refreshing to see someone like Tony Rizzo stand firm on humanity first. At the end of the day, that's what matters most. Character, compassion, and consistency. Only what you do for Christ will last. Spoken by Eden Marie.